3BC.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of 3BC. This is your girl, Joy, and I am with my BCs, Clo and Casey the Alchemist. Ladies, how are you?
Ladies, and more ladies.
Ladies, and more ladies.
And I'm just dandy.
You're dandy. Well, we got some dandy news here lately, depending on who you ask. Miss Kamala Harris, Miss Senator Miss Kamala Harris has been selected, officially appointed as the Democratic vice presidential nominee, along with Joe Biden. There's a lot of thoughts and feels circulating about this pick. I don't even know where to begin with this thing. You know, as a Black woman, I'll start by saying as a Black woman, I stand 100% with Kamala as part of the D9. I'm definitely fucking closing ranks. I'm 100% behind her. She ain't my D9.
But she must be.
But we're gonna
we gonna be going crazy, but go ahead.
Y'all already getting on my nerves, but we're gonna stand in solidarity. And as an HU alum, I'm not an HU alum, but HU, you got to stand behind the HBCU grads, because most of us probably wish we went to one anyway. I know I did. So I want to talk about that a little bit. Are you guys having mixed emotions? I mean, Kamala wasn't my first pick or second. I like her, but she's got, some problematic stuff with her, So how are you guys feeling about this nominee? But I am, let me be clear, I am ready to close ranks around her.
I guess I didn't have a preference one way or the other. So I didn't have any strong feelings when he chose her. Knowing what his list looked like, I already knew he was going to land on a Black woman. Period. Yeah. So I just said, okay, so we'll just see who he decides on. I honestly thought he was going to lean towards Val Dennings, but he went with Kamala. So that kind of caught me off guard. But I really I'm like, okay,
What about Stacey Abrams?
Stacey,
I know they don't align.
Right. And so I just didn't see that happening at all.
I like her so much, though. I like her.
I feel like her ministry is coming.
Yeah.
It wasn't this thing or that thing. That means that whatever yours is, it's coming.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
We just gotta wait on it.
But in politics, let me say this about Stacey real quick. In politics, if we talking real talk, Stacey is fat at the end of the day. And that is not going to go over well with most of America. That is going to put her firmly in the bullseye. Not for me, but she's it makes her an easy target for a lot of other people. And then just optically, people have the bias. And I hate that for her because she's so smart and she's so capable and she's so ready. So I hate that for her, but that's the reality of the thing. Go ahead.
Well, here's what I think. I mean, first of all, there was a selection committee in his camp, and They went through the 4 people he thought. He was smart enough to think, first of all, it should be a woman. At least he was smart enough to think ahead on that. Was he necessarily thinking a woman of color even before the George Floyd thing? Who knows? But from what I've read, she ranked the highest among all the people they were considering. She's a better debater among all people they were considering. And I think she can get out of the muck a little bit easier than some of the other people who were on. She's gonna
catch that work though.
His list. Oh, she's definitely going to catch that work. But she was a prosecutor. I mean, to some degree, isn't that your job?
Yeah.
Yep. At the end of the day, you may not like what happened, but that was her job as a prosecutor.
Yeah.
So as a prosecutor, unfortunately, the way our court systems are set up, then it's not going to be freaking fair, because until you change the whole entire legal system, it's not going to be fair. It doesn't mean she enjoyed her job every day. It's a whole lot of prosecutors that don't enjoy what they have to do as part of their job and how it affects our people. If
you
that's
don't think
not,
she had some latitude with the way in which some of the laws were interpreted and applied, particularly with the parents of truant students and a lot of the criminal justice action she took in California? Maybe. I know she didn't create those laws. That's a good point that someone brought up. She didn't create those laws. It was her job to enforce those laws.
Right.
So it wasn't her legislation. So that's a good point. But you don't think she has some latitude?
Depends on who she's answering to.
You know,
the time, it depends on optics. It depends on who she's answering to. It could depend on a lot of things. I'm not saying that she didn't, because I don't know. She may have had more latitude than we know about. But at the same time, a lot of other things go into that besides the type of latitude you have. I mean, she's answering to a lot of other people too. So,
I think people forget that she was still a Black woman in a space with people that did not look like her. And if you've been a Black woman in a predominantly non-Black woman space, you know how hard it is to get things done and the pressure that you're under and how people treat you, whether it's micro or macro. So I think it's unfair to just say, well, she was a Black woman and she sent all these Black people to jail. You know, she, like you said, she still had a job to do at the end of the day, and she had to do her job well. And then I'm sure she had some pressures internally to make it so that it didn't look like she was giving favoritism to her community.
Right.
Was she unnecessarily harsh on them? I don't know, because I don't know what anyone before her did. But I did do some digging, and it said that this was during her time. There were 1,956 convictions for possession, cultivation, or sale, and of weed. This included people who were convicted of marijuana offenses and more serious crimes at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And they said most of the people arrested for low-level possession didn't get locked up. And after she left office, the number of weed convictions went down, partly because the state law reclassified some marijuana misdemeanors as infractions. So basically the equivalent of a ticket. So you can't say that, oh, well, it was like this when she was there and then it changed, without looking at the bigger picture. Well, the way the laws were interpreted were changed after she left. So did she do the job to the best of her ability, or was she unfair to Black people? I just don't think that is the case.
Well, speaking of that, there's the issue of there's a twofold issue here. One is silly and one is a legitimate question. The first one is, people questioning her Blackness. One, because her parents are Black, Jamaican, Black, and Indian. Two, because she's married to a white man. So that's the silly part. Like, I really cannot take another election cycle questioning somebody's Blackness. All right. I mean,
and we don't want the birth of shit either. That
birth of shit.
Go ahead and that.
And I'm going to get to that. There's an article here in the Times that debunks 3 falsehoods, viral falsehoods about Kamala Harris. But, y'all stop questioning folks' Blackness. Again, y'all the first people running around here squawking about how Blackness is not a monolith. Mm-hmm. Blackness is not one thing. You have the right to be your own version of what Black is. You don't become less Black because you like anime, Casey. Mm-hmm. You don't become less Black because you like Duran Duran.
Holla! That's my album. I still get it.
Like me. You don't become less Black because
you like Bradley Cooper.
Correct. Because of who you marry, like Bradley.
Right. Because you're still going to be Black when you leave the door in the house.
You're still going to be Black out in these streets. At the end of the day, people look at you and you are a Black woman or man. Now, you can try to be post-racial, I'm just OJ type of Black, but that shit ain't going to work, as he soon saw. That ain't going to work. So that's one thing. But the other part is the 3 falsehoods. Well, 3 of the many falsehoods. She's not a part. Let me just run down it real quick, and we'll post a New York Times article. She's not a part of Pizzagate. Okay. I'm not even sure how real Pizzagate is. It sounded so crazy to me. I'm not going to lie. I didn't even deep dive into that thing because I was like, yo, this shit sound crazy as hell. Who made this shit up? What's the name sitting at home? Ain't got nothing to do. Oh, crazy Breitbart dude. What's his name?
Or QAnon, probably.
Or QAnon. What's the dude's name that was with the Orange Demon at first? His homie.
You just said it. Bannon.
Yeah.
Bannon.
Yeah.
Crazy. That sounds like some foolishness he made up. Or she is legally an American. So let's, again, back to the birther foolishness. Let's not start that. Yes, her parents are immigrants, but she is a legal American. First of all, she's been holding public office for 30 years. Don't question her now.
Right.
Hello?
And don't think nobody ever looked into it. Like, do we not think the CIA doesn't exist? Do they think they don't investigate any and everybody running for office? Do you think they're like, oh, we're going to secretly hide where they were born because we want them to win? No, that's why we had a freaking CIA.
And you know what? And back to the other part of that, like she did classify herself as Asian American or Indian American initially. So that is going to be problematic. Like she
to get some money or scholarship. What?
No, the first Indian American in the Senate, or Asian American or Indian American in the Senate.
Indian American. Yeah, because she wanted to be different.
Yeah.
I know that's going to be problematic.
Yeah. But I really
think if I were her, I would say I'm Indian. They don't have Indian African American on the form. Jamaican American on the form. But
that's the thing.
If that's what she wants to be, that's her business.
She's not. Is she?
But then you can't pivot into
black. Of the descent, is it African or is it's Jamaican and Indian and something else, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So she's not African American then. But that doesn't mean she's not black. She's still black.
No, that's why I said she's Jamaican. Yeah. I would say she's Indian, Jamaican American.
Because black is the race. The other stuff is ethnicity. And she's never claimed to be African American, and we're not saying that she is. If this was Laz Alonso running for office, you would still consider him a black man, despite the fact that he's Cuban.
Right.
He's Cuban American. Yeah. Yes, he is Cuban.
Oh.
Blood running through the veins.
But I did not know that.
They would still say he's a black man, and no one would argue down, well, no, he claims he's Cuban American. He's not black. He is still black. He's Cuban.
Just like people from Puerto Rico claim Puerto Rican first.
And they are still
and
black.
And then they'll say they're black, but they will say I'm Puerto Rican first.
Some of them will say they're black. A lot of them don't like to claim black.
That's
the thing. It depends. They're not all black, though.
And there's race, yes, because I had a white Puerto Rican friend with blonde hair and green eyes. And then I had a black Puerto Rican friend.
Me too.
Both her parents were black Puerto Ricans. They're both Puerto Rican. One is black, one is white. People have got to stop getting hung up. If her race is black, she's still black. It doesn't matter what the ethnicity is. We didn't say she was African American.
And then also, I feel like she, as a person who went to an HBCU and who pledged, AKA, not just pledged, AKA, but pledged an Alpha chapter, AKA.
The original chapter.
In the 80s. At that,
it can't get much blacker than that.
Those are very intentionally black choices. And she's from California. She came from clear across the country. So
very
intentionally black choices. And
they weren't giving her a whole bunch of money to go, I'm sure, because it was a black school.
Right.
No, ma'am, they will not.
They don't have big scholarships for full rides.
Right. $1,500 at best. $1,500 at best.
Right.
And in the 80s, if you pledged any Greek
pledged hard
organization.
for weeks.
You pledged hard for weeks, and then you were at Alpha chapter. She got her ass kicked for AKA.
Probably did.
That is not for shits and giggles. You're not doing that because, okay, and one day I'm going to run for public office and I need to be identifying as Black. No, ma'am. She wasn't thinking like that for sure. And you don't enter into that covenant with the sorority lightly, honey. Not at
not at the darn Alpha chapter, you don't.
No, ma'am. You got
for real
beat.
In the 80s? You know, Hazen didn't end until when? 1990?
Late, no, ma'am.
Yeah, later.
Late 90s.
No, it was 90. Trust me. I have to tell y'all another story, but it was
no
it was 90, 91.
No further comment.
No further comment, but yeah, it was ended by spring of 91, I can tell you.
If you say so.
I mean on paper, but
okay. Yes,
that's all I'm saying.
Yes, on paper.
But go ahead.
So I feel like that gives, in my mind, that gives her, even if she did identify as Indian American initially, just by the intentionality of those two choices alone, I feel like she gets a pass on that part. But in this New York Times article, back to that, the third thing, which I had never heard, the third viral falsehood is that she's connected to Justice Smollett. She was supposed to be right. She's supposed to be his aunt, allegedly, and she knew in advance that he was going to stage an assault against himself earlier, and all this other stuff. I was like, this shit sounds absolutely
bizarre.
Bonkers. But she did not. She is not related to Justice Smollett, and she don't know nothing about that man. So let that not be a reason. You know what I mean? Question her record on criminal justice. Question her plan for criminal justice reform. She has one. We can post that too. Question.
I don't give a shit what she did, where she coming from. Look, 45 is in office. We need to get his ass out.
Yes.
I don't care what she did, what she said, how she said it, because we can hold her to the fire when she gets there and Biden. But we have to get him out pronto.
We have to do better than what we're doing now. So, don't be swayed and distracted. You know, the big picture is like, we got to do better than what we have now. We have to do better.
And hold her accountable for things that are valid. You know, I hate to talk about, well, she didn't support legalizing weed then, and now she flip-flopped and now she does. It's not necessarily a flip-flop, because I'm going to tell you, up until the time that we voted here in Oklahoma City for legalized medical marijuana, I had the same feelings about it. You know, but that's because that is what I grew up with. It wasn't until I was exposed to something different, you know, and that's obviously is post-military life, because for as long as the time I was still in the military and sometime beyond, I had the same thoughts about it, you know. But then being in a different environment around different types of people who do different types of things, it's like, oh, okay, I understand now. People are allowed to change. Y'all want your blue faces, your doggone NBA young boy, all these abusive ass rapper men. That's the first thing I hear. People can change. But then when it's Kamala, oh, now she's fake. Because she actually did change. She changed her point of view on something.
Yeah, but she did. Okay, let me point this out, though, now. In fairness, she was pandering. But that Breakfast Club interview was disastrous.
Oh, no, that was bad.
It was unnecessary pandering to Black people. I mean, like, first of all, the Snoop wasn't even out when you were in college, ma'am. Yeah. And you ain't smoked nobody's weed, ma'am. Like, just... You didn't. You just didn't. And it's okay.
Oh, she
and
did. It wasn't like
it was a blatant lie.
Yeah.
It was a transparent lie. So, I mean, it was not even believable. The delivery was not even right. So, Kamala, if this even finds your way to you, sis, like, you ain't got a lot to kick it, you know?
No.
You ain't got to lie.
But if you support legalizing it, okay.
We can kick it.
And you don't even have to agree with smoking. Just say, I agree with legalizing it for
That's
other
right.
people. Like
Yeah,
when I lived in Chattanooga, we had some people who were under a certain religion. And they were like, as part of our religion, we don't believe in drinking. But the guy said, I voted for it to legalize alcohol in our county for the people who want to drink, because just because I don't want to doesn't mean I should deprive other people of what they want. He said religion is religion. What you need or what you want for yourself is for yourself. And I'm like, wow, if most people could think like that, you don't have to agree with it to say
different.
knock your darn self out. I'm questioning how they're going to do with criminal justice. I think that's going to be a challenge for her and Biden, because they're going to bring up the 3 strikes rule. They're going to bring up the criminalization of Black people, especially through the 80s and the 90s, because of some of his laws and under Clinton. And then 45 is going to bring up, but hey, we're trying to let people out. And that's going to be something that they're going to have to try to figure out. How do we get over this hurdle? Because he's going to appear like the person that's, hey, I'm getting all Black people out of jail. He ain't, y'all, but he's not. And they're going to have to work through that. So I'm hoping that somebody is working with both of them on talking points for that, because that's where they're really going to get attacked.
And getting ahead of the curve, you know, getting out
right.
in front
Like
of
they need to be speaking to it now.
You have to preemptively strike that move because you know what's coming.
You know what's coming.
And Biden needs to just say, hey, we made a mistake.
Yes.
You know, that this disproportionately affected Black people and minorities.
Yes. And we will diligently work to course correct that during our tenure in office.
And have a plan. Yeah.
And have a plan. And she had a criminal justice reform plan. So that's worth taking a look at as well. But there you have it. The 3 BCs stand firmly on terra firma with Kamala Harris. And you should too. If you don't like what you see in office now, don't stay home because your guy isn't the guy. You know what I mean? Biden's not your guy. Kamala's not your girl. Don't stay home. You know, don't abstain from the voting process. I know it's discouraging sometimes. I know it feels disenfranchising. I know it feels like your vote doesn't count. I know. However, come out and don't be discouraged by the voter suppression efforts that are going on under this current administration. Fuck them. Get out there and vote anyway, because, you know, even if you don't do an absentee ballot, don't trust it. Just go and vote. You go to the club, take your ass out there and vote. You go into the hair salon, take your ass out there. I was at the gym this morning. I'm going to go and vote because I don't have a reason to complain. And they will just, you know, if they don't space you out, space yourselves out. Find a way to make it happen. Find a way. This election is very important. Not that the others haven't been, but this one, this guy, who shan't be named, 45, orange doo-doo ball, orange demon, dumpster fire, has got to go. I mean, that is just my opinion. So don't be distracted. Don't be discouraged. Get out and vote, you guys. Make sure you're registered. I don't know if I would trust the absentee ballot. If you can, I meant to look that up. If you can go directly to the election commission, go pick it up and drop it off yourself. Okay. And make sure it's certified, stamped. Don't play games with these folks. So,
because the mail is slow. If your grandma, help your grandparents, help whomever can't make it to the post office and drive them down there if you have to.
Help them, because he is messing with the post office. So, you know, he's delaying mail on purpose, you know, so you guys make sure you play a part in this process. This is 3BC, empowered by the Kudzukian Network. I want to thank Clo and Casey, the Alchemist, for joining me once again. This is your girl, Joy. We will see you next time. Rock the boat.
3BC, recorded at Kudzukian Studios, directed, produced, and distributed by Kudzukian.
Join the conversation at facebook.com/3BC.